What happens when power collides with accountability? A U.S. Senator's daughter causes a hit and run. Not just any accident, a pregnant woman in a crosswalk. She was texting. She struck her. She drove off. And now she walks into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom wearing entitlement like armor, convinced that her father's political influence will make the consequences vanish. She smirks. Her attorney whispers. Everyone in the room knows she expects immunity. But what she doesn't know is this. Frank Caprio doesn't care about your last name. He cares about the truth. As he reads the medical report, the courtroom shifts. The unborn child's heartbeat was unstable. The mother suffered internal bleeding. And suddenly, this isn't a traffic violation. This is human life. And then Judge Caprio looks up and delivers the most devastating line of his career. Your father may write laws, but in this courtroom, I enforce them. Her face collapses. The privilege dissolves. Because for the first time in her life, Daddy can't save her. You're watching Case Closed, where power doesn't buy protection and justice has no price tag. Before we moving forward, please hit subscribe to Case Closed, because stories like this remind us, in Judge Caprio's courtroom, the powerful don't get a pass, they get accountability. It's Thursday morning at 9:45 a.m. in Providence Municipal Court. The gallery is more crowded than usual. Several well-dressed political aides are present. There's a palpable tension in the air. Word has spread that today's case involves the daughter of U.S. Senator Victoria Ashford, one of the most powerful politicians in New England. The bailiff calls the case. Case number 2024 MC 10534, the State of Rhode Island versus Madison Claire Ashford. Charges: leaving the scene of an accident with injuries, reckless driving, distracted driving, failure to yield to pedestrians. Through the courtroom doors walks 22-year-old Madison Ashford like she's walking into a country club. Designer outfit, perfectly styled blonde hair, Cartier bracelet, Louis Vuitton bag. She's on her phone, literally on her phone, walking into court. She doesn't even look up until her attorney, one of BC's most expensive lawyers flown in specifically for this case, touches her arm and whispers something. Behind her, sitting in the front row, but trying to be inconspicuous, is U.S. Senator Victoria Ashford herself, along with two staff members. But here's what Madison Ashford forgot. Judge Frank Caprio doesn't care if your mother is a senator, a governor, or the president. Political power means nothing when you hurt someone. And this judge has spent 30 years proving that privilege doesn't buy immunity. Madison finally puts her phone in her bag and approaches the defendant's stand. She's not nervous. She's annoyed, like this is an inconvenience interrupting her day. Judge Caprio looks up from the case file. His expression is already stern. Ms. Ashford, you're charged with leaving the scene of an accident with injuries, reckless driving, distracted driving, and failure to yield to a pedestrian. Before we go in deep, tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching from. So, these charges stem from an incident on October 22nd at approximately 3:30 p.m. How do you plead? Madison barely glances at the judge. Not guilty, Your Honor. This whole thing is ridiculous. Judge Caprio sets down his pen. Ridiculous. Interesting choice of words. Can you explain what happened on October 22nd? Madison sighed, like she's explained this 1,000 times. I was driving to meet friends. Some woman stepped into the street. I didn't see her because I was checking my GPS. There was a minor contact. I didn't think it was serious, so I kept going. Minor contact, Judge Caprio repeats. Ms. Ashford, according to the police report, you struck Jessica Martinez while she was in a marked crosswalk with a pedestrian signal. You were traveling approximately 40 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour zone. Your vehicle knocked Mrs. Martinez approximately 12 feet. She was rushed to Rhode Island Hospital by ambulance. Does that sound like minor contact to you? Madison shrugs.
I mean, if she was really hurt, she would have gone to the hospital. Oh, wait, she did. So I guess she's fine then. The courtroom gasps. Several people shake their heads in disgust. Judge Caprio's jaw tightens. Miss Ashford, let me read you the medical report. Jessica Martinez, aged 31, 26 weeks pregnant, suffered a fractured pelvis, severe bruising, possible placental abruption. She spent 6 days in the hospital. The doctors had to perform emergency procedures to prevent premature labor. Both she and her unborn child were in serious danger. Madison's attorney tries to intervene. Your Honor, my client had no way of knowing. She had no way of knowing because she left the scene. Judge Caprio cuts him off. Miss Ashford, why did you leave? Madison shifts uncomfortably for the first time. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. My mom is Senator Ashford. I knew this would be a media thing. I thought if I just left, maybe it wouldn't become a big deal. Judge Caprio stands up. You thought if you just left, it wouldn't be a big deal. So you prioritize protecting your mother's image over helping the woman you just struck, who was lying in the street, pregnant and injured. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Miss Ashford? But guys, subscribe right now if you believe political privilege should never protect people from consequences, because what Judge Caprio discovers later
will make your blood boil. Judge Caprio picks up another document. Miss Ashford, according to phone records obtained with a warrant, you were actively texting at the time of the accident. In fact, you were composing a text message that read, and I quote, "Running late. This traffic is so annoying. People need to learn to walk faster." You sent that text 17 seconds before impact. Were you texting while driving? Madison looks at her attorney, who slightly shakes his head. But Madison, with the confidence of someone who's never faced real consequences, answers anyway. I was at a red light when I started the text, but you were still typing when the light turned green and you entered the intersection where you struck Mrs. Martinez. I guess so, but everyone texts and drives. It's not a big deal. Everyone texts and drives? Judge Caprio repeats, Miss Ashford, distracted driving kills thousands of people every year, and everyone does not text and drive. Responsible people don't. People who value other human lives don't. Judge Caprio picks up another document. Let me read you something else from the police report. After the accident, multiple witnesses saw you briefly stop your vehicle about 100 feet past the crosswalk. You looked back. You saw Mrs. Martinez on the ground. You saw people running to help her. And then you drove away. One witness, a Mr. Thomas Chen, took a video of your vehicle leaving the scene. He clearly captured your license plate. Do you remember Mr. Chen? Madison's face pales slightly. There were a lot of people around. Mr. Chen ran after your car, filming, shouting for you to stop. You saw him in your mirror. You accelerated. Why? I was scared. I didn't know what to do. You were scared. So instead of calling 911, instead of helping the injured pregnant woman you just hit, you fled. And then what did you do? Madison doesn't answer. Judge Caprio reads from the file. According to phone records, your next call, made 4 minutes after the accident, was to your mother, Senator Ashford. What did you tell her? Madison glances at her mother in the gallery. Senator Ashford is staring straight ahead, stone-faced. I told her I had been in an accident and needed help. And what did your mother tell you? Madison's attorney stands. Your Honor, that conversation may be privileged. Sit down, counselor. Miss Ashford, what did your mother tell you? Madison's voice is small now. She told me not to talk to anyone and that she would handle it. She would handle it, Judge Caprio says. And did she? She called her chief of staff. He called a lawyer. The lawyer told me not to go to the police. Judge Caprio's voice becomes cold steel. So, let me be clear. You struck a pregnant woman while texting and driving. You saw her on the ground injured. You fled the scene. You called your mother, and your mother's response was to get you a lawyer who told you not to cooperate with police? Is that accurate? Your Honor, Senator Ashford was simply, the attorney tries, I'm not talking to you, counselor. Miss Ashford, is that accurate? Madison nods, tears starting to form.
not tears of remorse, tears of fear that this isn't going away. Senator Ashford, Judge Caprio says, looking directly at the front row, would you please approach the bench? The courtroom erupts in whispers. A U.S. senator being called to the stand. This is unprecedented. Senator Victoria Ashford stands slowly. She's impeccably dressed, every inch.
The powerful politician. She approaches with her chin up, but there's tension in her posture. Senator Ashford, your daughter just testified that after hitting a pregnant woman and fleeing the scene, she called you, and you told her you would handle it. What did you mean by that? Your Honor, I was trying to protect my daughter. From what? From the consequences of her actions, from a media circus, from having her life ruined over a mistake. A mistake, Judge Caprio repeats. Senator, a mistake is forgetting to signal before changing lanes. This was a series of deliberate choices. Your daughter chose to text while driving. She chose to strike a pedestrian. She chose to flee. And you chose to help her avoid responsibility. Senator Ashford's political polish cracks slightly. Your Honor, with all due respect, I don't think you understand the pressure of public life. Everything Madison does reflects on me, on my career, on your career. Judge Caprio interrupts. Senator, while you were worried about your career, Jessica Martinez was in a hospital bed praying her baby would survive. Did you think about her career? She's a teacher. She had to take unpaid leave. Her family has medical bills they can't afford. Did you think about them while you were handling this? The senator has no response. Senator, let me ask you directly. Did you or anyone on your staff contact anyone in law enforcement regarding this case? Silence. Senator, you're under oath. My chief of staff made some calls to inquire about the process. To inquire, Judge Caprio says. Senator, I have a statement here from a Rhode Island state police captain stating that he received a call from your chief of staff suggesting that this matter could be resolved quietly and that it would be in everyone's best interest if charges were not filed. Is that accurate? Senator Ashford's political career is crumbling in real time. My staff may have overstepped. Your staff attempted to interfere with the criminal investigation. Senator, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution. Does that oath not apply when it's your own daughter who breaks the law? Your Honor, I love my daughter. I'm sure you do. But love doesn't mean protecting someone from consequences. Love means teaching them to take responsibility. You failed to do that, and now your daughter stands here thinking her last name makes her immune to justice. Judge Caprio looks back at Madison. Miss Ashford, is there anything you'd like to say to Mrs. Martinez, who's sitting in the back of this courtroom? Madison's eyes widen. She spins around and for the first time sees Jessica Martinez sitting in the back row, heavily pregnant, using a cane, sitting with her husband. Madison turns back to the judge, her face white. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. I didn't think so, Judge Caprio says. Let me tell you about Jessica Martinez since you never bothered to find out. She's a third-grade teacher at an inner-city school. She spends her own money on supplies for her students. She's 26 weeks pregnant with her first child, a daughter they're naming Sophia. After you hit her and drove away, she lay on that pavement for 4 minutes before the ambulance arrived, terrified she was losing her baby. She spent 6 days in the hospital. She's on bed rest for the remainder of her pregnancy. She may lose her job because she can't go back to work. Her medical bills are over $80,000 and climbing. You didn't know any of that because you were too busy texting your friends that traffic was annoying, then calling your senator mother to make it all go away. Madison is crying now, but Judge Caprio isn't done. I'm going to impose sentence now for leaving the scene of an accident with injuries. I'm sentencing you to 4 years in state prison. The courtroom gasps. Madison's attorney jumps up. Your Honor, my client has no prior record. Sit down. For reckless driving causing serious injury, I'm adding 2 years consecutive. For distracted driving causing injury, I'm adding 18 months consecutive. That's 7.5 years in state prison. Ms. Ashford. Madison collapses into her attorney. Senator Ashford stands up in the gallery, face red. Your Honor, this is excessive. Senator, sit down or I'll hold you in contempt. Your daughter's driver's license is permanently revoked in Rhode Island. She will pay full restitution to the Martinez family for all medical expenses, lost wages, and pain and suffering, estimated at $250,000. Upon release, she'll serve 5 years supervised probation. Judge Caprio stands and walks to the front of his bench. Ms. Ashford, your mother is a United States Senator. You had every advantage in life, the best schools, the best opportunities, the best connections, and you used those advantages to think you were above the law. You texted while driving. You hit a pregnant woman. You left her bleeding on the street. You called your mother to make it disappear. Every single choice you made was selfish, reckless, and showed complete disregard for human life. His voice intensifies. 7.5 years. That's how long it will take for your daughter Sophia to be in 2nd grade, Mrs. Martinez. 7.5 years of your daughter's life that you'll miss because she couldn't put down her phone for 10 seconds. A woman almost lost her life, and an unborn child almost never took a breath. The gavel comes down. Bailiff, take Miss Ashford into custody. Madison freezes. Reality slams into her harder than any headline. As officers cuff her wrists, she turns to her mother, panic replacing privilege. Mom, do something. Call someone. You're a senator. But Senator Ashford doesn't move. Tears stream down her face as she whispers, I can't help you. Not this time. For the first time in her life, power is useless. Within hours, the footage goes viral across the country. A senator's daughter being handcuffed in court. The moment privilege collapses under the weight of accountability. And suddenly, the internet wasn't talking about politics, they were talking about justice. 2 weeks later, Senator Ashford calls a press conference. She steps to the podium, trembling but honest. My daughter is finally learning something I never taught her. Accountability is not punishment. It is a path forward. She exhales, voice cracking. I tried to protect her from consequences, but Judge Caprio showed me that protecting someone from accountability isn't love. It's sabotage. I was wrong. Jessica Martinez's medical bills didn't just get paid. They were erased, covered by donations from thousands of strangers who refused to let injustice win. 3 months later, baby Sophia enters the world healthy, safe, loved, born into a future that almost never happened. And Madison Ashford? She is serving her sentence, not because she's evil, but because responsibility is the only thing that can change a future. She becomes eligible for parole in 5 years. Because in this courtroom, justice isn't personal, it's principled. And this is where Judge Caprio's legacy becomes undeniable. He didn't just resolve cases, he reshaped people. He didn't just enforce the law, he restored faith in it. Because for 30-plus years, Judge Frank Caprio paid fines for people who couldn't afford groceries, wiped tickets for veterans battling trauma, protected single mothers working multiple jobs, gave second chances to young adults before prison could take their future. He listened when no one else did. He asked not, what did you do, but what happened in your life that led you here. He proved that justice isn't about punishment, it's about humanity. And in this case, as always, he gave the world the reminder it needed. In my courtroom, money cannot silence the truth. Status cannot erase responsibility. Every person stands equal under the law. That is the legacy of Judge Frank Caprio. Not fame, not headlines. Humanity, courage, compassion. You're watching Case Closed, where power doesn't determine the outcome, character does. Subscribe if you believe privilege should never replace accountability. Like this video if you believe justice should protect the powerless, not the powerful. See you in the next story. And until then, stay hopeful, stay human, and keep fighting for what's right.